All right.
So we'll call this meeting of Mechanicsburg Borough Council of December 15th, 2020 to order. Before we begin, I would like to announce that on December 9th, we had an executive session via Zoom following for purposes of personnel and real estate, in which no action was taken that evening. Also, tonight from 6:45 until about 7:20, we had another matter of personnel in executive session with no action taken. And there was also discussion of real estate at that time. Again, no action taken. So with that said, we'll call the meeting to order, and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
The flag of the United
of America and to the republic for which it stands,
which stands
under
one
God,
nation,
indivisible,
under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Justice for all.
And I'd like to thank Attorney Coyne for having the flag in the background.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. All right, roll call, please.
President Weber,
Here.
Vice President Miller,
Here.
Councilwoman Egerton,
Present.
Councilman Anthony,
Present.
Councilman Bucher,
Here.
Councilman Pellman,
Here.
Councilman Whitcomb,
Here.
Mayor Ritter.
He's muted.
Okay, he's here. Solicitor Coyne,
Here.
Engineer Rogalski, are you in here?
He is not. He will not be here tonight.
Okie dokie. And you said Chief Myers was not. Chief Neff
Here.
and EMC Wardle.
Here.
Manager Szewski,
Here.
Assistant Manager Boyer.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Are there any guests this evening? I don't hear or see any, so we will move on. Any citizens' comments or requests?
We only have one citizen.
Okay, I'm going to back up just for a moment, please. Bear with me. I neglected to read the rules of a virtual meeting prior to the meeting. So I think it'd be important to do that now so that any of our guests who want to speak will know what the procedure is. Please bear with me. This meeting is open to the public with advance notice on the Borough webpage, and a link was provided. The agenda for the meeting was posted on the website in advance of the meeting for the public to download. The official record of the meeting will be the written minutes that must be submitted to council for approval. Recording of the meeting will not be the official record of the meeting. During the meeting, the council and staff will be the only live microphones. The public microphones will be unmuted to make comments during the public comment sections of the meeting on an individual basis. This will be so that the comments can be clearly heard by all. The public can use the raise your hand feature of the software, and their microphone will be unmuted for them to make those comments. Members of the public must state their name and address before proceeding with their comment. If a commenter would like to have their comment in the minutes unabridged, they must submit that in writing to the borough office. While every attempt will be made to limit executive sessions of council, the need may arise that adjournment to an executive session will be necessary. At that time, the hosts will remove the public and any staff not involved from the meeting and stop the recording and lock the meeting to entry. If there is action to be taken after the executive session and at the council president's direction, the host will unlock the meeting and begin recording again. A record of the public logins will be attached to the minutes as an attendance sheet. At the adjournment of the meeting, the video shall be compiled and added to the YouTube channel under Borough of Mechanicsburg. During the COVID crisis, the guest portion of the agenda will be suspended. And I actually asked for guests tonight because we had a change in that last time, as we did have a guest who requested permission to be there. So hearing none of those tonight, there will be no guest portion. Comments received via non or electronic means shall be read into the minutes under the correspondence portion of the agenda. Thank you for bearing with me on that. That being said, we will now go back to Any citizens' comments or requests, if you have one, you'll have to use your raise your hand button in the software. And I still don't see any. So we will now move on to correspondence. Mr. Szewski.
We got the 2 thank you notes from the law firms, and I sent those out to council. Other than multiple Christmas cards that we've been receiving and stuff like that, I have no other correspondence.
Thank you. Approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of December the 1st, 2020. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Pellman. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Anthony. Any discussion? Unless I hear a negative response, we'll record the vote as unanimous. Mrs. Martin? Thank you. All right, the minutes are approved. Borough Board liaisons. First of all, we'll put Mr. Bucher on the spot with the EAC and HARB.
There was no EAC meeting this month and there was no HARB meeting this month, so I have no report.
Thank you very much. Loan review, Mr. Miller.
We have not met. There have been no loans to review, so there's no report.
Thank you.
And I'm also a municipal authority, so there's actually no report there because this is an odd month where the municipal authority meets after the 3rd borough council meeting.
Oh, okay. Very good.
We have our meeting on the 21st of December.
Oh, Merry Christmas.
Merry
All right, thank you, Mr. Miller. Planning Commission, Mr. Pellman.
There was no meeting in November of the Planning Commission, and I didn't see that there was one scheduled for December. But we do have 2 members coming up for approval later in our agenda.
Okay. Recreation Board, Mrs. Agerton.
We had our first joint rec agreement meeting on the 10th. It was a pretty low-key meeting. There was conversation about being able to get the audit out for us to review as to see what the profit was for each of the classes that they had. Of course, you guys know they are in transition probably every day as the regulations have changed. So I know that they're still proceeding with doing winter programming, but they're just not sure how they will do it. They are very open for feedback and needs of the community members. So if anyone has any ideas, I know Tanya was very open to hearing that. So I think our first meeting was successful. I believe that we will continue to meet on a regular basis, and everyone seemed to be satisfied with the efforts that our joint rec commission is taking forth during this time of COVID.
Very good. Good to hear. All right, Mr. Bucher, Shade Tree Commission.
I have no report.
No report. School Board, that's me. I have no report. I guess we're day to day with COVID and all of the other things, in hopes that we'll get everything back after the first of the year sometime. All right, the manager's report.
Couple things to go over. One, leaf pickup concluded today. We were out, got all the stuff that I drove by Sunday and saw that was out. We're done with that. They've converted the other truck over to the salt truck now. So we're going for there. Going to call and make arrangements to have the Ravos returned to New Jersey, and then go from there. In the meantime, there was a few things that came up. One of the things that we started looking at was a different way of doing leaf cleanup next year. So we're going to seek prices. I got some prices, but it's only one from one vendor. They are co-stars, but I think we can do a little better out there with the multi-use truck. So we're going to look at that next year. Plus, we got notification from the county that the 902 grants were available, are coming back up. So there's a potential that we could get enough grant money to cover the leaf cleanup machine, and then we just have to pay for the truck. So we're going to investigate that a little more. I'm working with Glenda and Barb to work through that because Barb being the recycling coordinator, she would be the one to coordinate the grant for that. As I mentioned, the truck was set up for salt today. Tomorrow morning at 9:30, I'm meeting with the guys out at the sewer plant. We're going to go over who's going where, who's doing what for the snowstorm in anticipation of the snowstorm coming up. The reports that we're seeing right now, they vary, and Nate, you can chime in too whenever under your report. The latest one I saw was 18 to 24 inches plus, or 14 to 24 inches plus. So, but that is moving. It moved a little bit further north too, to the Juniata and Mifflin and Center County. So we'll see where that goes. Our plan is to start salting tomorrow morning first thing, get salt on all the streets, and then see how it goes through the day and determine if we're going to keep the guys and start plowing right away or how it's going to go. They're still calling for 1 to 3 inches of snowfall per hour. That is going to be extremely difficult to stay ahead of. So I will do everything I can to keep the residents informed as to where we're at and what we're doing, and proceed through that. So let's just see where it goes. Two other things of note. One, Josh Green, the assistant rec director, is apparently put in his resignation. So if you know anybody that's looking for an assistant rec job, I know Sarah didn't touch on that in hers, but Tanya sent it notice out to us today. The other one is, if you have to run into him, congratulate Lou Fazekas from Upper Allen Township. He is retiring at the end of this year. So the township manager in Upper Allen is going away. I did not hear, Sarah, did you hear who they appointed?
I did not hear.
Okay. I did not hear who they appointed. I don't know if it was the assistant township manager or not, but Scott and I work pretty well together, and I look to continue that with him going forward. So that's about where we stand right now. I'll keep every council and everybody informed as we go through the snowstorm tomorrow. I'm going to be doing around the borough office here, making sure the police officers can get out with the snowplow truck, and doing what I can to help the guys out and get the streets open. The alleys, I'm expecting Thursday's trash pickup, which is mine and in that general area, is probably going to be delayed. I don't know what exactly, we haven't heard from Penn Waste yet, but I'm expecting it to be delayed. So if any residents contact you that's about the trash, we did receive a notice from them that there is some issues with COVID. It's going pretty rampant through Penn Waste, and they're hurting for manpower. So, but we'll do what we can to keep everybody informed as to what's going on with the snow.
Thank you. We
Yep.
appreciate that. Mr. Mayor.
He had no report. He had no report.
No report.
That was who called me.
Oh, okay. Chief of Police is not here. Solicitor's report. Mr. Coyne, do you have anything from?
Right now, sir, I'll just respond to any questions, but there's no report.
Thank you very much. Fire Chief. Chief Neff? He's muted.
How's that?
There he is.
Hello. So I have a couple things. I submitted my written report. Just want to give you a little bit of an update on, I had Kevin Delphia, an EMS chief for Geisinger, called today and wanted to coordinate, as in prior years, that once we get to a certain height of snow, whatever that is, that he feels that they need assistance or asking for the fire department to respond on all medical calls within the borough and up around. He's asking all the communities around to help them. So in other words, they don't have the ability of four-wheel drive other than their paramedic vehicles. So we go in with our four-wheel drive, our utilities. We're not taking fire engines. We're going to take, for the risk of additional damage. So we're going to take utilities in and clear the path, and then help them with shoveling walks and that for patient care, to get the folks out of their home and into the ambulance in a needy time. So that's one of the things I wanted to update you with. And the other is Saturday the 19th, this Saturday. Santa Claus will be coming to town. He'll be, if the weather's good, his sleigh might resemble a fire engine, but he'll be around town and at a no-touch rate with the community, but he'll be out to just wave to the folks. And I'm sure they'll link in with social media and be able to let everybody know their route and whenever they're headed into each neighborhood. That's all I have.
Thank you very much, Chief.
You bet.
Excuse me a minute while I finish my notes here. Thank you. All right, EMC Wardle.
Hello, everyone. I submitted a report this afternoon. I'm not sure if you all received it yet, but I will only hit the highlights because it is rather long. Statewide, we are at over 500,000 cases and almost 13,000 deaths. For perspective, last month, we were at 275,000 cases statewide and 9,355 deaths. In Cumberland County, we are up more than 4,600 cases than where we were just 1 month ago. And we are up, we were at 87 deaths on November 17th. We are now at 224 deaths. The other thing that I will add to that is where previously almost all of the deaths were in long-term care facilities, now we are seeing that we are seeing a number of deaths that are outside of long-term care facilities. 153 of the deaths are in long-term care facilities, but that means that there's 71 deaths that have occurred outside of long-term care facilities, and almost all of those would have occurred within the last month. In a zip code, the percent positivity went from 6.3% in November to 11.6% this month. Countywide, the percent positivity is at 17.3%. It was at 9.2% 1 month ago. The number of hospitalizations statewide has doubled from the spring, from around 3,000 to more than 6,000 people hospitalized, which is 1/3 of all the one-third of all ICU beds currently being used in Pennsylvania are being used for COVID-19 patients. There are 158 patients hospitalized with COVID-19 in Cumberland County. And on November 17th, 1 month ago, there were 47 patients hospitalized. So we have seen a major increase in the last month. And I believe that almost, not all of them, but a significant number of them are at Holy Spirit Hospital. The state obviously announced new mitigation steps last week to attempt to get us through the end of the year without overwhelming the health system any more than it already is. Their piece of good news on a COVID front is that the 2 UPMC hospitals, UPMC West Shore and UPMC Carlisle, will be receiving vaccine by next Monday and will be able to start vaccinating their healthcare workers. This includes not only doctors and nurses who are treating COVID patients, but anybody who would have any potential exposure within the facilities. That is phase 1A of hospital or of the vaccination process. The good news is that as we roll out the vaccine, we will have the ability to vaccinate anybody who wants it. The more challenging news on that is that it's going to take probably the better half of 2021 to get to that point. Moderna is the second vaccine, and that is expected to be approved this weekend by the CDC, and that would allow for a second vaccine to enter the market beginning next week, in addition to the Pfizer vaccine. So the more vaccines that are approved, the more that they will be able to ship more and create more and get them out there. So we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. It just will be a while until we get it to the entire population. Then we get to the snowstorm. So at this point, it's looking like things will start between 12 and 2 tomorrow. I would say that any travel after 4 p.m. is going to be next to impossible. With snowfall rates of 2 to 4 inches an hour, it is going to be very difficult to travel during that time period, probably from about 4 until midnight. And then things will start to lighten up as we head through Thursday morning, and it will stop probably sometime between 6 and 9 a.m. The tail end could last a little longer. There's a bit of uncertainty there. As Roger said, the track has moved further north. That hasn't necessarily taken our part of Pennsylvania out of what we were going to see. It has more spread the parts of Pennsylvania that are going to see the foot to 18 inches to potentially even more than 18 inches to Center County, the Altoona area, so to our north and to the west. What we are seeing looks like it will continue to be certainly over a foot. It's just a matter of how far over a foot we get. There is some models that are showing some dry air coming in as part of it. That would certainly keep amounts down. I do not think we're going to have to worry about mixing with sleet or freezing rain in this area. I think this is going to be an all snow event for us. You go south 15 miles and I think that could be a different story. But for us, I think it will be purely a snow event. It will just be a matter of how high those rates are and whether we do have any dry air intrusion during the storm. Outside of that, it will be a heavy wet snow. So we are concerned about limbs coming down, power outages, potentially wires down. Obviously, as I said earlier, if there is a emergency where people need shelter, the natural disaster takes precedent over any COVID mitigation efforts. So ideally, it would be non-congregate sheltering in hotels. That is the word that I got from the county yesterday, but we have no hotels in the borough of Mechanicsburg. So we would, if we needed to open a shelter, we would work with the county to do that to the best of our ability. But it would largely be a matter of trying to make the best with what we can. And I will be working from home the next 3 days. So if there are any needs within the borough, I will be more easily accessible than I am when I'm in Harrisburg. After all that, does anybody have any questions?
That was enough.
That was a lot.
Nate, do you want to talk about the CARES,
Yes.
the county renew that we
Yes,
submitted today?
I totally forgot to put that in my report.
I
but
did too.
Roger bought everything that we submitted. So let me start at the beginning. So we submitted over $3,000 for CARES Act funding from the county. We received all of it. In fact, we went back to them and said, hey, instead of buying this product from Amazon, we like this product better, but it is probably almost twice the price. And they're like, yeah, we don't care. Go ahead, do whatever you need to do. So Roger has purchased the disinfectant foggers, 2 of them, correct, Roger?
Yep, 2 of them.
2 of them. We have purchased a number of PPE products, which includes Tyvek gowns, it includes gloves, it includes antibacterial soap, I believe. There's also some disinfectant in the fogger, additional containers of that so that we have it. So all of that has been purchased, all of that has been delivered, and Roger sent everything to county today. They said it all looks good from their perspective, that we just need to submit the contract. So as soon as that gets done, that should be to the county for reimbursement. And I don't know if it was before our last council meeting or not, but I believe we have also received our reimbursement from FEMA at this point.
Yes, we did.
So all of the money that we have coming back is either here or we will be filing to get it from the county here in the near future.
Yeah, I tried to submit that this afternoon and it all bounced back. So I'm going to have to package it up and send it back tomorrow morning.
Okay, no problem. But I think in the end, that's over over $7,000, I believe, that comes back to the borough from just going through the paper process through either FEMA or through the county. That is all I have.
Very good. Thank you, Nate. Appreciate it. Are there any additions to the agenda?
There is one addition to the agenda, sir. That was the email that I sent out. Solicitor Coyne has reviewed this, and she said that it was okay to put this on. It's the 98-day extension for recording the land development plan for Northside Elementary School. They are securing bonding and stuff that Engineer Rogalski and Solicitor Coyne has required, and they're saying COVID offline is part of the reason why they're having trouble getting all that stuff gathered together.
Okay,
so that's the only addition.
All right, so we will need a motion to add that to the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
All right, Sarah made the motion. That's Mrs. Agerton, and Mr. Bucher seconded.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? Mrs. Martin? She's muted.
Sarah, turn your mic on.
Unless I hear a negative response, I'll record the vote as unanimous.
And the motion carries, so that it's added to the agenda. All right. We now need a motion to approve the agenda for this evening, the action items before council. Do we have a motion?
I'll make,
Mr. Whitcomb makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Anthony. Any discussion? Hearing none. Mrs. Martin.
Unless I hear a negative response, I'll record the vote as unanimous.
Very good. Thank you. The motion carries. All right, Mr. Cesarski, it's all yours.
Okay, the action items before council, Borough Council, December 15th, 2020. Discussion of possible action on resolution 2020 approving the Verizon cable franchise.
I'll make that motion.
I'll
Thank you,
second
Mr.
it.
Pellman. And who seconded that?
Whitcomb.
I did.
Mr. Whitcomb? Thank you.
Yep.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Mrs. Martin?
Unless I hear a negative response, I'll record the vote as unanimous.
And the motion carries. Next item.
Discussion and possible action on resolution 21-2020, setting the police pension contributions for 2021.
I'll make that motion.
I'll
Thank you.
second it.
Thank you, Mrs. Agerton, and Mr. Whitcomb seconds. Is there any discussion? Mrs.
Unless
Martin?
I hear a negative response, I'll record the vote as unanimous.
And the motion carries. Next item.
Discussion and possible action to approve the 2021 budgets for all funds as presented.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mrs. Agerton. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Is there any discussion?
I will recuse myself from that.
Okay.
Unless I hear a negative response, I'll record the vote as unanimous sans Councilman Whitcomb.
And the motion carries. Next item, please, Mr. Cesarski.
Discussion and possible action to approve resolution 2222, setting the 0% tax increase rate for 2021.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Whitcomb. Is there a second?
Second.
I'll second.
I think Mr. Miller got in ahead of you there, Bellman.
That's fine. That's
Is there
fine.
any discussion? Hearing none, Mrs. Martin?
Unless I hear a negative response, I will record the vote as unanimous.
Thank you very much. Next item, please.
Consider the appointment of a borough solicitor for 2021.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to appoint Michael Cassidy of the firm Johnson and Duffy as the borough solicitor.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Mrs. Martin?
Unless I hear a negative response, I'll record the vote as unanimous.
And the motion carries and the solicitor has been chosen. Thank you very much. Next item, please.
Consider the appointment of Pannoni Associates as the borough engineer for 2021.
Is there a
I'll
motion?
make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Pellman. A second?
I'll second
I'll
it.
second that.
Mrs. Agerton seconds. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Mrs. Martin?
Unless I hear a negative response, I will record the vote as unanimous.
And the motion carries.
Consider the appointment of Cumberland County Recorder of Deeds as the real estate transfer tax collector for 2021.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you,
I'll-
Mr. Anthony.
Second.
Mr. Whitcomb seconds. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Mrs. Martin?
Unless I hear a negative response, I'll record the vote as unanimous.
And the motion carries. Next item, please.
Consider appointment of Penn Credit as a delinquent tax collector for 2020 delinquent per capita tax.
Do I hear a motion for that?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Whitcomb. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Anthony. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Mrs. Martin?
Unless I hear a negative response, I will record the vote as unanimous.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Consider appointment of Cumberland County and Barry Heckert as delinquent real estate tax collectors for the 2020 delinquent real estate tax.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Bucher. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
I think Mrs. Agerton won that one. All right. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Mrs. Martin?
Unless I hear a negative response, I'll record the vote as unanimous.
All right. Next item, please.
This is for considering the following reappointments. I will read them all off. I believe the discussion was to vote on all these as one time as a single appointment. All right. Heidi Biggs for the Environmental Advisory Council, 3-year term through 12/31/2023. Samuel Hepford, Historic Architectural Review Board, 4-year term through 12/31/2024. Tim Dwyer, Historic Architectural Review Board, 4-year term through 12/31/2024. Annie Miller, Municipal Authority, 5-year term through 12/31/2025. John Elwell, Planning Commission, 4-year term through 12/31/2024. Mark Stoner, Planning Commission, 4-year term through 12/31/2024. Ken Mundorf, Police Civil Service Commission, 6-year term through 12/31/2026. Diane Meck, Recreation Board, 5-year term through 12/31/2025. Ellen Wilson, Recreation Board, 5-year term through 12/31/2025. Tom Veman, Zoning Hearing Board, 3-year term through 12/31/2023.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, I saw Mr. Bucher first. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Whitcomb. Is there any discussion? I would just like to say thank you to all of those people because the volunteers are getting harder and harder to find, and they're all excellent. And we appreciate their efforts and their assistance in making this borough a good place. So with that in mind, we'll ask Mrs. Martin to entertain the vote.
Unless I hear a negative response, I'll record the vote as unanimous.
And it is finished and the reappointments are accepted. And congratulations to all of those people. Next item, please.
Authorization of borough staff to complete all transaction, close the books, and pay outstanding bills as of December 31st, 2020.
Is there a
I'll
motion?
make that motion.
Thank you,
I'll
Mr.
second it, whoever made it.
And thank you, Mr. Whitcomb, for seconding. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Mrs. Martin?
Unless I hear a negative response, I'll record the vote as unanimous.
Hearing none, the motion carries. And the bills will be paid.
Yep.
One
I got
other
one more. Yeah, one more item. Last action item for 2020. Discussion of possible action to accept the 90-day extension offered for the recording of the land development plans for the Northside Elementary School.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Bucher. Is there a second?
I'll second it. I'll second it.
Okay, Mr. Whitcomb seconds. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Mrs. Martin?
Unless I hear a negative response, I will record the vote as unanimous.
And hearing none, the motion carries and the project's extension is approved. All right, we are now to the point of the meeting where citizens' comments are taken. If there's anyone out there who wishes to do so, please use your raise hand feature. I'm not seeing any, and so we will move on. Is there any other business? We'll start with Mrs. Martin.
Nope.
Thank you. Glenda, Mrs. Boyer?
No, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Szewski.
Yeah, I have actually a good announcement to make. As of the 28th of December, we will be at full staff at the Highway Department. We have 3 guys. The Public Works Director will be starting next Monday, along with one of the workers, and then the 28th, another one will come on board. They've all accepted. They're actually all 3 of them are local. They're all from the Borough of Mechanicsburg too. Two of them are on Portland Street and the other one is on Locust Street. So we're in pretty good shape there. Couldn't be tomorrow, but we could really use them tomorrow. But at least we'll be back to full staff. One of the first things I'm going to have them do is basically inventory everything that we have at the highway garage. I was up there yesterday going through the stuff with the guys, and we have some of those soot pots that they used to put on the ends of the barricades instead of the flashing lights. I've actually thought about calling American Pickers and see if they wanted to come up and look through this thing. There's that much stuff up there that's antique, and some of it actually still works. Porcelain signs, stuff like that. So, but that's the first thing we're going to have them do is go through their inventory, everything, get that thing cleaned out, and try to get some kind of organization up there. Craig's institutional knowledge is seriously going to be missed, but after 47 years, he deserves the retirement that I hope he enjoys. So that's all I have.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Roger. Appreciate it. Mr. Mayor, do you have any comments? He's muted.
Yeah, he's on the phone too, so he has to unmute himself. I don't think he does.
Okay. All right. So we'll go, let's see, where are we here? Go ahead, Mrs. Agerton.
I just wanted to do a shout out to our downtown businesses. I was down there this weekend and things were hopping and bustling. There's a couple of new businesses. If you haven't been down there, the crepe place opened up. It was really refreshing to see all of the foot traffic this weekend. And I know that the businesses felt the boom. So for all of you guys that are supporting the businesses and sharing it on social media, they're very happy. So thank you guys for your support.
Thank you. Mr. Anthony.
So I have a question and then a comment. My first question is, I believe that we approved online meetings through December. Our next meeting is in January. Are we going to continue with online or are we going back to live?
They were actually advertised as with the option to go virtual.
Right.
So
So
2021, yes.
we going to make a decision on that tonight, or are we going to wait to determine whether we're going virtual or live?
I think with what the governor did, I think that's the best thing to do is to continue with the virtual meetings.
Mr. President?
I would agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, likewise.
Okay. And then I just want to wish everybody a happy holiday season, a happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, be safe, and be careful out there.
Thank you, John. Appreciate that. Mr. Bucher.
Same. Merry Christmas, happy holidays.
Thank you very much. Let's see, where are we here? Mr. Pellman. No,
Well,
Mr.
I'm gonna.
Well, sorry, we'll get Mr. Miller later. Go ahead.
It's just for the time being, I'm just going to put on my other hat as cemetery manager and let everybody know that this Saturday at noon, the American Legion, in conjunction with Wreaths Across America, will be putting a wreath at every veteran's grave in the Mechanicsburg Cemetery. We're going to be doing it under bad circumstances now that we're expecting close to 2 feet of snow. So I don't know how that's going to work. But if you would like to come out and place a couple wreaths, put your boots on, and we'll trudge through the snow together and try to get all those wreaths delivered. And I'd like to also wish everybody happy holidays.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it. Mr. Miller?
Sure. Just one request, maybe Roger, with so many new people at the Highway Department, you could send us a brief memo of introduction to everybody. Might help us get to know this this new workforce we have. Quite a lot of people.
Yeah, three of them.
The other thing I have is just I want to thank the law firm of Coin & Coin, specifically Lisa and Robert, for their years of service to the borough. This being their last official meeting, I was present at their first official meeting. So it's with regret that we see them go, but also excited for to see what the new appointment has to offer. So I would also request that Borough Council consider a resolution acknowledging their service. We did the same thing for Mr. Short after he retired.
9 years, Robert. Thank you very much for your service.
Definitely. The other thing, I just want to wish everybody happy holidays and stay safe.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Appreciate it. Mr. Whitcomb.
Hey, happy holidays. And I'm sorry to see our solicitor leave, but one of those things.
Thank
Did
you.
a good job.
Thank you very much. Chief Neff, anything to add?
Just happy holiday to all of you from the fire department. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Nate Wardle, anything to add?
You have heard me speak enough, so I would just echo what everybody else said.
Thank you, Nate. Well, I will go last and ditto everyone else's comments, especially with regard to Lisa Coyne and Robert and their dedication to us and their service to us over the years. We certainly appreciate it. They're going to be missed. We wish Lisa the best in her new
Position.
Well, it's not a position, but her new ventures.
Good opportunities.
Yeah.
Venture. And hope that that's successful for her. I want to thank the staff for a good year with everything else that has been bad. They've managed to stay the course, and we're very fortunate that they did so. I want to also thank council for hanging in there all year. It's been a very strange first year of presidency for me in that we didn't always meet in person, but I think we got the job of the borough accomplished with all of your hard work and diligence. And I certainly appreciate everything that you do for the borough and to help me. I wouldn't be able to function here without the support I get from all of you. And lastly, to all the citizens and residents of the borough, a happy and safe holiday season. Don't get too upset about the snow. Enjoy it for what it is. Most of you are probably at home anyway, so you can enjoy watching it instead of worrying about getting back and forth from work. At least we hope so. So with that, unless I hear any other comments, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And the gavel is up. The meeting is adjourned.